Thank you so much for coming here today. I also want to thank the people that are on the phone that have dialed in to listen to this press release. This is a very exciting day. I'm pleased to announce that the advisory team from the Higher Learning Commission has released an in-depth report giving the North Dakota State Board of Higher Education and the North Dakota University System a favorable review of our current leadership practices and how we've successfully moved beyond past challenges. In her letter, the President of the Higher Learning Commission commended us for our diligence between July 2013, when the advisory visit was ordered, and April 2014, when the visit took place. She said, "We have worked hard to ensure that the system is functioning in compliance with good practices in governance and the requirements of the Commission. We're grateful to the team members for their thorough review and professional manner during their visit. We're looking forward to closing this chapter in our history and are excited about what the future holds for the university system and our students." The advisory team's visit focused on 4 criteria for accreditation, and I will summarize the findings. Concerning Criterion 2, Core Component 2A, which requires that an accredited institution operate with integrity and establish and follow fair and ethical policies, the team said that the system is currently functioning with a high degree of integrity. They said that our approach is particularly noteworthy. The team commends the system for good use of traditional and high-tech communication tools to establish a high degree of transparency, as well as appropriate training and changes in practice regarding our open meetings. Concerning Criterion 2, Core Component 2C, which requires an autonomous governing board that makes decisions in the best interest of the institution, the team emphasized the importance of autonomy of the board to accreditation and was concerned that undue influence could be exerted by the legislature. The report acknowledged tension between the board and the legislature, which they said is not unique to North Dakota, but no clear attempts to influence were seen at this time. The team recommends that the legislature and the board redouble our efforts to work together. Concerning Criterion 5, Core Component 5B, which requires that governance and administrative structures promote effective leadership and support collaborative processes, the team said that we are creating a disciplined, systematic approach for input and inclusive dialogue while reviewing policies and procedures and roles and responsibilities. I want to emphasize that the top-down, non-inclusive approach of the former chancellor did not meet the criteria for accreditation, which is one of the reasons the board took the decisive action that it did. The report mentions that our current focus is mitigating the circumstances leading to the complaint. We have returned to an operational style that is inclusive and promotes collaboration between the board and the individual institutions and among the institutions themselves. Concerning Criterion 5, Core Component 5D, which requires that an accredited institution work to systematically improve its performance, the team said that it believes we are addressing goal setting, self-evaluation, and accountability for improvement. But at the time of the team's visit, these efforts had just begun. The team recognized that there is only so much change that can be implemented in such a short time period and recommends follow-up to ensure improvements now in the planning stages will become standard operating procedure. On that point, I want to emphasize that we have received significant training in best practices for effective boards through the Association of Governing Boards. I thank each of our board members for their commitment to our students and for bringing their deep and diverse expertise to their board service. I believe that we have an excellent board in place that is fully engaged and positioned to take the university system to great heights in the coming years. For example, we have been working hard with constituents across the state and within our institutions to develop the 2015-2020 strategic plan for the university system. We are creating a bold new vision that I think is exceptional. In our discussions, we use phrases like unleashing the potential of our system and inspiring our future and providing programs people want where and when they need them. The board will review the plan at its October meeting, and we are moving forward to create the best opportunities possible for our students and our state. We'll share more information about that in the near future. Thank you so much for coming today. I now invite Chancellor Scogin to join me at the podium, and we will now take any questions that you may have.
Grace, this is your opportunity.
Yes. Did this particular report address any of these?
No, it did not. What is in the letter, and you can see the cover letter, it says that under a separate cover you're going to receive an analysis of Measure 3. And within the last 45 minutes that was emailed to me, we have not had a chance to read it. And so as soon as we get through that, we'll get it posted out on our website and have a news release to go with it.
I understand there was some concern about meeting all these requirements a year ago. Maybe describe what the concerns were a year ago and how you met.
Well, the concerns are the 4 criteria that are in the report, and that tells you specifically what the concerns were. And what we've been doing since then is we went back to the criteria and we analyzed each one of the criteria and made sure that what we're doing at the system level, and my advice to Dr. Diederich as the chair of the board and what the board is doing, is in compliance with those criteria. We're very fortunate in that the team came in, and we've got an outside review of how we are currently functioning as a system. And I think it's incredibly valuable to North Dakotans to get this outside view, and I think everybody that reads the report will find it incredibly instructive. And they will address your question on each one of their criteria, what they saw we did to demonstrate that we were now in compliance with that criteria.
Specifically with component 5B, where you outlined that you're starting to improve your work toward improving your own component. It sounds like you're taking steps to kind of describe where you're at.
Yes. With regard to that section, the board has not had a self-evaluation performed since I've been on the board, and now we are working towards that coming up within the next couple of months, and that would fulfill that criteria for us.
And just to go through a quick list of positive steps that have been taken on that particular criteria, we had the Association of Governing Boards came in. They conducted training for the board in April and again in July. In July, we had a board retreat that was inclusive with the presidents and the board. We've been going through a strategic planning process. We hired a director of strategic planning. She has been out with stakeholders that have included our legislators, and I thank Legislator Nelson for being here. She has, of course, been communicating with our legislators, has been on all of our campuses, has communicated with all the presidents, has been meeting with students and with faculty and staff on each one of the campuses, has gone around the whole state, holding business roundtables with businesses to get their input. So we've been going through that process that is an incredibly inclusive process. As Dr. Diederich already mentioned, in October the board will be reviewing the plan that will come out of that. As well, on October 2nd, we are planning a new board orientation for new board members. There has not been a new orientation, and the report speaks to that. There hasn't been an in-depth board orientation for some time. We are putting that together, and we'll be doing that on October 2nd. Dr. Diedrich already mentioned the board assessment that will be ongoing and concluding on November 20th. And we also have a roles and responsibilities task force made up of a couple of board members and a few presidents and some staff trying to define the issues that the report talks about. So we've been taking a lot of really positive steps in the last year to make sure that we are meeting that criteria.
I think I will leave that too.
Okay.
Yes.
I know 3 IT people were put on administrative leave. Talk to me about what else is being done right now.
Well, I think that the biggest issue is the patches that go on the system to ensure that the system is secure. We are very fortunate. Our Vice Chancellor for IT, Dr. Feldner, came to us from the state system. The state system, statewide, already had these patches in place, but in prior administrations of the system, those patches had not been put in place for the North Dakota University system institutions as well. So the biggest issue is that those patches are now being put in place. In fact, Dr. Feldner's not here. I don't know how close we are to having those all in place. So all those patches will be in place. Had those patches been in place to begin with, we wouldn't have had the issue that we were confronted with ultimately.
So this is something that wasn't in place when that happened. Now you're saying that it is. Wasn't it part of your policy to have those in place?
You know, I wish Dr. Feldner were here to answer that question. So let me just say that the university system at that time was doing what it thought was security, but with Dr. Feldner transitioning from the state ITD coming over to the system side, she looked at it and said, we need to have those patches in place.
Is there anything that can be done now for those thousands of students and former students?
Their information was never hit. None of the information was ever compromised, and we have had numerous experts take a look, do a forensic analysis of that breach. What we know is that our server that contained that information was being used as a launching vehicle to attack other systems, and that patch that we're now putting in place, those patches will prevent that from ever happening. But nobody's information, what forensic analysis is that none of the information on that server itself was ever compromised.
So I mean, for those people, what would you say to them?
To whom?
People who have their information, on that server, you're saying that you use it to get to somewhere else, but.
Right. Well, we're taking very positive steps to ensure that the servers are patched and that can never happen again.
Oh, yeah. Is there anybody on the phone that has a question for either the Chancellor or myself? It's nice music.
Can't hear you.
Do you have any questions for myself or the Chancellor?
I feel like I'm in an elevator.
Okay. Where's the... All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you all for being here.